You ever sit across from someone you love and feel like you're staring at a stranger wearing their face? That's what it was like the night she told me. Her voice didn't shake. Mine did. It wasn't the kiss that broke me. It was how casually she dropped it into conversation, like she was telling me the grocery store ran out of oat milk. I kissed someone, she said, eyes not meeting mine. It was stupid. Just a drunk kiss. That word, just, landed like a brick in my chest. I stared at the grooves in our oak kitchen table, the one we picked out together 2 years ago. The same table we ate takeout on when we couldn't afford anything else. The same table where we sat, laughing with friends, planning vacations we never took. It suddenly looked unfamiliar, like everything else in the room. Just a drunk kiss? I repeated, my voice quieter than I intended. She nodded. At Megan's wedding. You remember, that rooftop thing a few weeks ago? I did remember. I hadn't gone because I had a project deadline, and she insisted I stay back. Go do your thing, I'd said, half asleep in bed while she put on her earrings. She'd kissed my forehead and whispered, "You're the best." Now I knew what that meant. I didn't speak for a long time after she told me. Not out of anger, but because I was afraid of what might come out. My thoughts were unraveling faster than I could catch them. Threads of trust, memory, and confusion. It didn't mean anything, she added, as if that was supposed to put a Band-Aid over the wound. It was one of those stupid, impulsive things. Everyone was drinking. The music was loud. I was dancing and she trailed off. And what? And you forgot you were married? And you thought kissing someone else was part of the playlist? I wanted to tell you right away, she added, but I didn't want to make it a thing. It is a thing, I said. Not loud. Not cold. Just honest. She sat back in her chair, arms folded tight across her chest. Defensive, like she was already preparing for a verdict I hadn't delivered yet. I remember thinking, who taught her to look so small when she's guilty? Or maybe I was just seeing her truth for the first time. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not in our bed, not on the couch, not even in the car where I eventually ended up, windows fogged from my breath and the heat turned off because I didn't deserve comfort. My thoughts played in loops. I remembered the first time I kissed her behind a bookstore downtown, after an open mic night where she read a poem that made me cry. I remembered her cold hands, the way she whispered, "I feel safe with you," as if safety was something I could promise and actually deliver. I remembered our first fight, our first reconciliation, the way we held each other like we were made of glue and purpose. And now all of that was sitting next to a 6-word sentence. It was just a drunk kiss. The next morning, she made coffee like nothing happened. The silence between us was louder than anything either of us could have said. I watched her, trying to decipher the woman I thought I knew from the one in front of me. She wore my old hoodie, the one with the tear in the sleeve. Funny how betrayal can dress up in familiarity. "You're quiet," she said, setting my mug down. "I'm tired," I answered. Not of sleep, of pretending, of holding back the storm in my chest. "I thought honesty would help," she added. I laughed, dry and hollow. Honesty would have helped before the kiss. Her face twisted. Shame, maybe. Maybe something else. I couldn't read her anymore. That's what hurt the most. She used to be my favorite book. Now all the pages were rewritten in a language I didn't understand. She tried to explain again. Said it wasn't premeditated. That it was a moment. That she pulled away. That's supposed to make it better? I asked. "No," she said quietly. "I just need you to know I love you." I stared at her. I stared so long she looked away. "You don't cheat on someone you love," I said. It wasn't cheating. It was a kiss. "So if I kissed someone, right now, just walked outside and kissed a stranger, you'd be fine?" Her silence answered for her. For the next few days, we went on like roommates. Not lovers. Not partners. Just two people pretending this was normal. I tried to understand. I really did. I wanted to believe it was a mistake. That people slip. That no one's perfect. But something inside me cracked. It wasn't jealousy. It was grief. Grief over the trust we'd built, now buried beneath a kiss she called meaningless. But you know what's worse than pain? Feeling like you don't matter enough to protect. One night, I wrote something in my journal I'd never had the courage to say out loud. If a drunk kiss is nothing, then I guess my commitment was everything, and still not enough. That's when I knew. She made a mistake, yes. But what broke me wasn't the kiss. It was how easily she let it happen. How quickly she expected me to absorb it and move on, like it was a speed bump in our story instead of a crack in the foundation. She gave me a drunk mistake. I was going to give her a sober goodbye. I didn't pack a bag that night. I didn't slam doors or throw words like knives. That would have been easier, honestly. Easier than the quiet drive to the little motel 20 minutes from our apartment. Easier than checking in under my middle name, like I was hiding from something. I guess I was. I remember sitting on the edge of the bed, holding my wedding ring between my fingers like it might whisper something back to me. It didn't. It was cold. Heavy in a way I hadn't noticed before. You don't realize how much silence weighs until you're alone in it. The first time she called, I didn't answer. The second time, I let it ring just to see if her name still made my heart jump. It didn't. It made me tired. By the third call, she left a voicemail. Please don't do this. We can talk. I miss you. It should have moved me. Once upon a time, it would have. But something about that message felt rehearsed. Like she knew what to say, not how to feel. Over the next few days, I stayed gone. I worked remotely from that motel. Ate bad takeout. Sat through the kind of silence that doesn't soothe, just asks hard questions. What do you do when the person who promised to protect your heart becomes the one who cracks it? How do you forgive someone who doesn't seem to grasp what they broke? I didn't leave her because of the kiss. I left because of the ease with which she minimized it. I thought about all the things we'd survived, financial strain, family deaths, job losses, and I realized something brutal. We had survived everything except each other. On the fourth night, I came home. Not to stay, just to talk. She opened the door fast like she'd been waiting behind it. She looked tired, pale, eyes red. The smell of cinnamon candles hung in the air, like she'd tried to make the place feel warm again. But some warmth, once gone, doesn't come back. We sat across from each other in the living room. Same positions we used to sit in during movie nights, laughing over popcorn. Except now, we stared at the empty space between us like it was an open grave. I thought you left for good, she said. I did, I replied. I just hadn't told you yet. Her face twitched. You can't mean that. I didn't want to, I said. But I think you did. Her head jerked. What does that mean? That kiss, I said slowly. That drunk kiss you keep calling nothing. It told me everything. Maybe not about you, but about us. She shook her head, teary. It was a mistake. People make mistakes. I know, I nodded. But people also make choices. You chose not to tell me for weeks. You chose to lie by omission. You chose to let me keep kissing you like nothing changed. She winced, like the words were cutting. And maybe they were. But I wasn't trying to wound. I was trying to understand. What did he mean to you? I asked. She blinked fast. Nothing. Seriously, nothing. I don't even have his number. But he had your lips, I said. That's more than I ever gave to anyone else while we were married. That made her cry. I didn't flinch. I'd done enough crying in motel bathrooms. She whispered, I didn't think you'd take it this far. And there it was, the sentence that confirmed everything. Take it this far. Like the problem wasn't what she did, but that I didn't sweep it under the rug. Like the betrayal was inconvenient, not devastating. You wanted a consequence-free mistake, I said, standing. But that's not how love works. At least not the kind I gave you. She stood too, reached for me. I stepped back, not out of anger, out of finality. I forgive you, I told her. But I can't unfeel what this did to me. Please, she said. We can rebuild. We've been through worse. No, I said, voice steady. We've been worse. This was just the moment I finally admitted it. I went upstairs, grabbed the essentials. She didn't follow. That was the part that sealed it. Even then, she didn't fight for me. Maybe she thought I was bluffing. Maybe she hoped I'd cool down. Maybe, deep down, she knew she'd already lost me. On the way out, I paused at the hallway mirror. I looked older, thinner, quieter, but I also looked clear, clearer than I'd been in years. Back at the motel, I didn't cry. I just stared at the ceiling and said one sentence out loud, like a prayer or a resignation. She called it a drunk kiss. So I gave her a sober goodbye. Some goodbyes aren't thunderous. They don't happen in rainstorms or through shouted words across airport terminals. Some are quiet, like turning the key in a lock one last time, or pulling your hand away from someone who no longer reaches back. Mine was one of those. I filed for divorce 2 weeks after I left. Not out of anger, just clarity. I chose a lawyer who understood discretion. No public drama, no dragging her through the mud. That wasn't what this was about. I didn't need revenge. I needed peace. She responded through her own lawyer. No contest, no fight, no apology either. Just silence. The same kind she'd given me after that night. Only now, it echoed louder. People kept asking what happened. My sister, my friends, even my barber. Everyone wanted to know why a marriage that looked so picture-perfect on Instagram dissolved overnight. I told them the truth. I wasn't what she wanted. And eventually, I stopped pretending I was. They'd nod like they understood. But they didn't. Not really. How could they? They hadn't seen the way her eyes shifted when she lied. They hadn't felt the way her laughter turned brittle, sharp around the edges. They hadn't stood in front of the woman they loved while she tried to shrink a betrayal into a sentence that could fit between sips of coffee. It was just a drunk kiss. I moved into a small apartment across town. 2 rooms, no shared closets, no lingering perfume on my pillows. It was quiet. Too quiet at first. I didn't know what to do with my evenings. I didn't know how to cook for one. I didn't know how to watch a show without pausing it to wait for someone else to catch up. But the human heart is a strange thing. It aches, then adapts. I started going for walks. Long ones. Without a destination. I started journaling. Not just to remember, but to release. And one night, I wrote something that felt like the truth I'd been chasing all along. She didn't break my heart with a kiss. She broke it by proving she didn't think it mattered. 3 months passed. Then she texted me. No apologies. No explanations. Just a single line. Do you ever think about what we lost? I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. Because I hadn't lost anything. Not really. I'd found something. Myself. The version of me that didn't tolerate emotional crumbs. The version that didn't make excuses for being neglected, dismissed, betrayed. The version that didn't hold on to people who only reached out when they felt lonely, not when they felt love. I saw her once, by accident, at a bookstore downtown. She was with someone, new guy, I assumed. Tall, well-dressed, holding her hand like he knew exactly where it belonged. She didn't see me, and I didn't need her to. I watched her laugh at something he said, and for a moment, I wondered, was that the same laugh she gave me once? But it didn't matter. That laugh wasn't mine anymore. It hadn't been for a long time. I walked out and bought myself coffee, sat on a bench near the river, watched the water move like it never needed permission. And I thought about everything I had feared, being alone, being unloved, being left behind. But in that moment, I wasn't alone. I wasn't unloved. And I sure as hell wasn't left behind. I had chosen to walk away, not because of one kiss, but because of everything it revealed. Because sometimes love doesn't die loudly. It erodes, one dismissed feeling at a time. And when it's finally gone, all that's left is truth. And the courage to say goodbye. So yes, she said it was just a drunk kiss. But I gave her a sober goodbye. Because I'd rather be alone with my integrity than together with someone who treats it like a footnote.